Hi, my name is Carrie Keel. I am a certified crime scene technician with the Naperville Police Department. Today we're going to be teaching you how to lift a fingerprint off of an item of evidence. What we currently have here at the table is what we would bring to every single scene. We have a tackle kit that has different colored powders. We usually use powders that are contrasted with the item of evidence that we're going to be painting. So we have blue magnetic powder, we have black magnetic powder, and we have black carbon powder. Now usually it is based on the situation and the surface of the crime. So just based on experience and hands-on learning, training, years of doing this, we would be able to determine what type of powder would be the best. So we would usually, again, choose the type of powder first. Then we would move on and choose the type of brush. Now, when we use magnetic powders, we have to use a magnetic wand. The magnetic wand essentially is going to adhere the powder onto the wand with this plunger. So we would go ahead and lift it up using the plunger. We would go ahead and then lift the plunger up, and it would be released back into the container. The second type of powder that we have, which I believe you guys would have in front of you, is a black carbon powder, which does not require a magnetic brush at all. It requires what you usually see on TV in CSI, this black fluffy brush. This is the one that you would go ahead and spin around on top of the item of evidence that you are trying to get the fingerprint off of. The feather brush we use to dust off any excess powder that we use. We tend to be heavy-handed, so I would recommend always to underbrush rather than overbrush. That way you can get the really good details of the ridges from the fingerprints. After choosing your powder and your brush type, you're also going to want to choose a backing. The backing are these lifting cards that come in either white or black. The front of them are shiny, and the back of them have this information on them. Your case number, your date and time, your offense, your lift number, lifted by, and the lift location. They also have this little area right here for the lift location diagram where you could go ahead and draw a little sketch as to where exactly the lift came from. For example, on a vehicle, there's multiple different parts of a vehicle, the front driver's side, the front passenger side, etc. We'd want that detailed in the diagram listed here. We also have this tool. It's a mini squeegee of sorts in order to get out any air bubbles when you do the lifting process. We also have different types and sizes of tape. So we usually have tape that is clear, like this, or we have tape that is frosted, like this. Again, they come in different sizes, from 1 inch to 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches, etc. We use different sizes tapes for the different types of fingerprints that we're going to be lifting, whether we're trying to lift a single fingerprint or an entire palm print. So with that being said, I have my gloves on. We're going to try to attempt and lift a fingerprint off of this tile right here. So the supplies that you're going to have in front of you are this black powder brush. We're going to take the black powder, the carbon powder. We're going to dip this into here. Again, less is more. You can spin it around to get the excess dust off before applying it to the item of evidence, which again is going to be this tile right here. I cannot see the fingerprints. Right now they're called latent prints because they are invisible to the eye. I'm going to try to enhance them with this powder. This powder is then going to adhere to the amino acids that are left behind from fingerprints. So here we go. Gently painting the area, we're going to go ahead and swirl like this until we see fingerprints on the tile. Once you're able to see some fingerprints on the tile, again, I would recommend to go put aside your brush because you definitely are able to see them now and you don't want to overbrush. So then, based again on training experience, I would go ahead and try to lift one of these fingerprints by using this clear tape. This clear tape is going to be the best for all 4 of your fingerprints up here minus your thumb. We usually generally want to do a 1.5 to 2 inch section of fingerprints so that it can easily fit onto this backing card. This is going to be your roll of tape. This is very important to notice that there is this little lift right here at the end. Without this lift, it is very difficult to go ahead and try to find where the tape starts and where it ends. Specifically when you're not in a sterile environment like this or in the lab setting, if you're outside in the field and it's very windy out, it makes it very difficult with gloves on to try to find. So I always recommend making a little lift at the beginning, at the end of your tape roll. So with the roll of tape, without any hesitation marks, you're going to want to go ahead and take this roll and very quickly, almost like a Band-Aid, rip about that 2.5 inch mark. If you have any hesitation marks, that's going to cause a problem because the hesitation marks on the tape are going to interfere with the latent detail of the fingerprint. So we're going to go ahead and try to get these 1, 2, 3 fingerprints onto here. What I always recommend, again, so that there's no air bubbles or to minimize air bubbles, we're trying to go from left to right, and as we place it from left to right, we're going to go ahead and squeeze out any of those air bubbles that we may grab. So from left to right, place it down, and we're going to go ahead and rub our finger all over it. Again, trying to squeeze out any air bubbles that may occur. Or you could use this tool, the little squeegee, but usually it's just easier to use your fingers. Lifting the tape is going to be the same way that we put down the tape. We don't want to go too fast. We don't want to go too slow. If we rip it off like a Band-Aid this time, we're going to have some hesitation marks. So at a very slow and steady pace, we're going to have our latent print cards ready. We're going to set those down near where we're going to be lifting. Now we're going to take that lip, we're going to take this side, you want to angle it this way to show, pull it, so what we're going to do now is place the tape onto the backing card so that this can remain permanent and we can go ahead and submit this into evidence. So just like we were lifting, we're going ahead and place it down onto the card from left to right, also squeezing out any bubbles that may occur. So this is what you should have on the back of your card. But we have to somehow get this separated from the roll of tape. So what I suggest everybody to do is take the top half of the tape and rip away from your body, just like this. That way it can easily come off of the latent lift card. So always fold your tape at the end of using it. That way you'll always be prepared for the next time you're about to fingerprint. So at the end of lifting the fingerprints, you're going to have this card. Like I said, on the front of the card is going to be the fingerprint that you had just lifted. We always sign our initials on the tape, half on, half off. The reason we do that is that nobody can go ahead and lift that fingerprint without destroying that tape, and knowing that our initials were there means that there's a chain of custody seal. On the back of the card, again, there's information that we could fill out, the case number, the date and time, the offense. Usually we'll use some acronyms. BMV stands for burglary to motor vehicle. The lift number, which is how many times we have made a lift. Lifted by, your last name, and then the lift location, exterior front driver's side window. So again, on the side here, we could go ahead and draw a little diagram indicating exactly where that lift was taken. After these cards are completely filled out, that is when we would go ahead and then submit that into a manila envelope as seen here. Put that into the manila envelope, fill out a label on the computer system, tape it, again, chain of custody, half on, half off with our initials, the date, and our batch number. And this is what we would go ahead and then submit into evidence. Hope this really helps, and enjoy trying to lift your own fingerprint in order to solve the case of who killed Mrs. Fletcher.